Hey everyone, Lotus Prince here. It's been a while since I've done one of these, hasn't it? I mean, I haven't kept my channel radio silent or anything like that. I've been putting up Isaac footage, GoldenEye mod footage, Yakuza 5 footage, and of course the podcasts I've been a part of, but it has been a while since I've done a proper Let's Play. It's been too long, in fact. And because it's been a while since I've been on camera in this manner, I have 3 pieces of information for you, rather than 1, and I think you'll find all 3 to be interesting. Now the first one, let's get right to it. The next game I'm going to Let's Play. Yes, it is finally happening. This is one that I've had mentioned a couple times, but it's getting hard to find at this point due to, I think, a limited run, so I don't know how many people were aware that I had the game other than a casual mention in 1 or 2 of my videos at some point, but it's a dark one. It's story-based horror. Once again, we have Rule of Rose for the PlayStation 2. This one is interesting. I would consider it to be more horror than not, but I wouldn't say that it's a scary game. I would say that it is more unsettling and certainly uncomfortable. The basic premise is that you are Jennifer, a girl in 1930s England who has to be sent to an orphanage, and oh boy, nobody likes you over there. And the game makes that quite clear for, I guess, just about the entirety. It's one of those things where it turns childhood bullying into something just really uncomfortable to watch. And I'm not talking vicious, brutal, like, you know, beat you up in the hallway bullying, but it's more like hazing that just doesn't stop, and it drives you insane. It really sucks to watch. What's interesting is that that's as far as the game goes, but the way it's presented is done in such a manner that makes you really wish that each scene would end, or that each chapter would end. Like, oh my god, when does it stop? You know, this game takes something like pouring water on your head and makes it drawn out and painful to watch. It's definitely something that you probably wouldn't expect. As for Rule of Rose itself, if you've heard of it, chances are it might be because of its notoriety. Rule of Rose got the same treatment in Europe that Night Trap for the Sega CD did in the United States, where politicians actually started talking about this game specifically, and part of the problem is that they mistakenly thought that the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do in the game is what they think you're supposed to do. There was a lot of controversy on how, oh, you're supposed to be harming these girls in this game. No, not even close. But at this point, you know, Night Trap led to the ESRB rating system being created in the United States, and Rule of Rose just really got a bad rap in Europe, and outright banned in the UK. So it's one of those things that sort of gives the game an air of mystique. So this is a game where I hope that as we go through it, you'll both be entertained by it, but also sort of get an educational experience in that this isn't something that a lot of Americans have heard of, and a lot of people in the UK can get at all. I think it was released but then banned, so it's possible to get, but difficult. Also, I will say this, the game has a whole lot of symbolism. Lots of things mean something, but you won't find out what it is until later in the game or even the end. It reminds me a bit of Silent Hill 2 in that regard. So it'll be interesting to see what you're looking at, and if you can identify what it's supposed to mean as we go through the game. Expect this up in a few days, and get ready because, man, you are going to learn really quickly to feel bad for our protagonist. Now, the second thing I wanted to bring up, this is partly why it's been so long since I've put a status update up. Part of it was due to having lots of grading to do. My semester's coming to a close. Part of it is due just to me taking a break and it going on for longer than I thought it would. But the third reason is this. I kind of wanted to set this up, and this is like not my first time even filming this update. I wanted to get it right. There were lots of things I wanted to change each time I filmed it. The fact is, I've been doing Let's Plays for over 7 years, and I have over 1,800 videos up on my channel. Now granted, they include status updates, they include next game reveals, they include the quick little video game clips I throw up, but they are, choice of words, throw online, but even so, I've been putting stuff out a lot, and at this point I feel that I've established enough of an identity where you kind of know what to expect in regard to me putting things up on my channel. I have had the occasional hiatus, usually like a week or something, but sometimes they go on for overly long, like this one, or early 2015, I want to say. But for the most part, you know what to expect from my channel. When I get a Let's Play up, it'll go for a while, I'll have updates between, etc., etc. Now, I have addressed in a Q&A session before that some people have asked to, donate me money or things, but at the same time, I don't like asking for things, so I never really quite knew how to respond to that. So I figured that I would sort of address a happy medium between my inhibitions and those people's willingness, and I have created a Patreon account. Now before you click off the video, let me explain what that means. Patreon is inherently voluntary because it's a donation-based system, but I do not want to alienate whomever may not want to get in on it. So here's the deal. I'm not going to permanently lock anybody out of my content because that seems disingenuous. I hate paywalls when I encounter them in games. It would be hypocritical of me to create one of my own. I figure I would have just some reward systems that I believe everyone can get behind. For example, patrons can get access to my videos a little bit early. So, if you don't donate, it's not like, oh, too bad for you, it's gone forever. You could still watch it, maybe just a little later. Similarly, I'll have a reward incentive for patrons to get in on exclusive streams. So there could be a degree of interactivity with them and the rest of the chat, as well as with me talking to the chat. And if I can capture that footage, then people who do not get in on the Patreon will still be able to watch the footage of what we were doing, like the game we were having fun with, later on in post. It just won't be a live experience. Again, I don't want to shut anybody out. And I was also thinking of having an incentive for people to be able to outright select what game they want me to play next. The reason I do this is that I have people request games a lot, but I can't do all of them next. It's like, which one do I go with? So I figured that this would be a way to sort of narrow that down, as well as is the case with the streams, give me more of an interactivity with my audience. So I was thinking of having those things up. Now, why I'm creating a Patreon at all is partly for the happy medium thing I said, but on a more pragmatic level, I do have a day job, but technically it is considered part-time, so I'm not exactly swimming in money here. And in addition, not that I was, I'm going to say the same thing twice, not that I was making so much money with YouTube ad revenue in the first place, but if you've seen where YouTube is going with its ad monetization system, it looks like it's becoming more and more unreliable. So Patreon would also, it would not only be a way for me to increase my gaming repertoire and, allow my channel to show you more stuff, but it's also just a way to pay the bills on just a straightforward, basic level. It's one of those things where I'm not just doing it for funsies, like there is a degree, there's a realistic need for it in that sense as well. But again, this is a strictly voluntary system. No one's going to be permanently locked out of stuff if they don't want to get in on it, and even if you don't contribute, I still feel that the existence of the Patreon will directly benefit you, in that with it going on, I feel that it's going to give me more of an incentive, like it'll give me a kick in the pants to get back on doing Let's Plays more quickly. I usually am pretty good about it. And yes, real life is sometimes going to get in the way. And yes, I'm still going to take breaks. But they shouldn't be for this long. You know, I think I've been a little too complacent this time around. So it'll help me get back on the wagon all the sooner. So I will have a link to the Patreon in the description of this video. Go for it if you'd like. Don't if you don't. You know, whatever you want. Just an option that exists. Now the third piece of information I wanted to bring up is that Rule of Rose is coming up, but this is my 99th Let's Play, which means we are coming up quickly on the big 100. Now, what is the 100th Let's Play going to be? There's the question. Well, I have it narrowed down between one of two games, both of which heavily impacted me, and both of which I absolutely love and would be very happy to play again. Both are Sega RPGs. Now, one of them is an old classic. Oops. I want to get this one second. Well, I can do it first anyway. One of them is a new classic, Valkyria Chronicles. This is originally a PS3 game, but this is the PS4 version. It's so nice, I bought it twice. This is a game where you play as Welkin Gunther, a man who just wanted to be a school teacher because that was always his calling, but he was, you know, war happened, so he was drafted into the military. Now, it turns out that his father is a great military genius, or was. You know, his father has since passed on, but his father was a great military genius, and the people in the military are thinking, is it genetic? Are you also really good? Because we could use all the help we can get. The enemy's, like, innumerable. So you have to command a ragtag team of soldiers at first, but you will soon find out that, yes, you are quite good at what you do, and you'll get more and more soldiers voluntarily signing up for your unit until you're commanding a properly sized unit in the army, and you're trying to stop the oppressive enemy's military from just bulldozing everything in your wake and destroying your way of life. Now, this is a kind of game where, think of a more modern 3D Advance Wars. It's not a grid-based system, but you still control each soldier in your unit one at a time in a row. Then your turn's over, then the enemy does the same. Now, as you run around, you can run around freely, and you can also go into first-person mode and aim at some particular enemy you want to hit. You can't move when you're doing this, but there's a small price to pay. Also, to make the war situation feel a little more realistic, if you run in front of an enemy's line of fire, they'll just kind of start shooting at you automatically, and your AI will do the same when it's the enemy's turn. But again, it's a 3D game, height exists. There's, I believe, shifts in terrain, like hills. There are ladders that you can use to climb onto sniper towers and aim down at enemies and make it harder for them to hit you. There's destructible terrain if you're using explosives, stuff like that. It makes for a really engaging experience, and the story is just marvelous. Every soldier in your unit, while not part of the story cutscenes, still have names and personalities of their own, and you kind of get to know your characters, not in terms of conversations, but just how they react when you have them do things. It's pretty interesting. The story is epic in a literal sense. It's heartwarming, it's emotionally gripping. It's a wonderful game. And I only played this in 2015, and I still love it this much. You know, I'm 30. I do not have nostalgia for this game. I played it when I was 29, but it is just that good. So, maybe this will be the game I play for my 100th Let's Play. It'll be, again, an epic game to tackle. Now, the other game, the one I had originally intended to show when I said it was a classic, is Skies of Arcadia Legends. This is the GameCube port with some extra features. In this game, you play as Vice. This is the guy my friend Vice the Bold is named after. Vice the Sky Pirate, or the Air Pirate. He and his friend Aika just enjoy flying around and getting into adventures. It almost reminds me of One Piece in that being a pirate, at least for these people, is just being as free as possible. Now, there are pirates who go around attacking and, you know, robbing villages and stuff like that, and they're the stereotypical pirates that you don't like, but you're not those kinds. However, you have this oppressive military regime you have this world order and a very powerful military that wants to quash all pirates. Again, it's like the plot of One Piece, where Luffy just wants to be free, but other pirates give pirates a bad reputation, so the Navy wants to crush them all, including Luffy. So here, people go after you as well because no pirates. But you'll see that, again, like One Piece, the military and the world order is not quite as just as you would imagine. So again, epic story, but the goal here is there is a real plot here where you're trying to stop this regime, and you get to, you build up a whole crew and everything and set up a base, which is probably my favorite part of the game. But also, there's a heavy emphasis on exploration. You actually get monetary and written credit for discovering landmarks, skymarks, before somebody else can do it. And so it gives you all the more incentive to run around and see what the game has to offer. It's really cool in that regard. So maybe this will be the game to play. This is something that I beat twice, and that may not sound like a really great number, but it's a pretty long RPG, as is Valkyria Chronicles, so I'm happy to play this one a third time, or Valkyria Chronicles a second time. And by the way, one thing I should point out about Valkyria Chronicles is that Vice and Aika actually show up as soldiers in your unit. They're optional, they're not plot intensive, but it's cool to see them as a cameo, because remember, these are both Sega RPGs. So, what'll it be for my 100th Let's Play? Skies of Arcadia or Valkyria Chronicles? Both games are just brilliant, and I would be perfectly happy to play either. So I'm going to provide a link to the poll in the video's description here, so you can all get on what you would rather I play. So, in a nutshell, those are my 3 pieces of information for you. The next Let's Play, coming up in a few days, is Rule of Rose. I have a Patreon account. It exists. Donate it to it if you would like. And the link is in the video's description. And finally, you can help me decide which game to play for my 100th. Skies of Arcadia or Valkyria Chronicles. And again, a link is in the video description. So go with whichever one you would most like to see. Thank you all so much for subscribing to me for all this time. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I hope to do it for another 7, and well on beyond that. Until next time, everyone.